for me, I don't want to just be known as a track guy. Like, I want to move mountains and help people literally find out who they are and be a great example. That's bigger than track. And to see his reaction once I gave it to him, that hit me emotionally to a point where I'm like, us as athletes have to realize the impact that we have on people. Like, some of these people truly see us as superhuman.
If you were to put like a word of like, hey, this is the theme of 2025 season, what would you say that word is for you?
Perseverance. Period, point blank.
Welcome back. Another episode, Track World News Podcast. We're here in Boston, New Balance Grand Prix at the track in New Balance, and we have one of our esteemed guests. You've seen him on the track circuit, making his second race, I guess, in the indoors. Mr. Trayvon Bromell, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing good, boss. I'm happy to be here.
Man, sounds good.
Yeah.
Something that I love a lot lot you. You got your hats you always have going on. I see, is that a goat? Is it a sheep on the side?
So it's a goat. You can say it's a sheep, whatever you want it to be, you know.
There you go. What kind of hat rotation? You got any other ones that you brought in for today or for the meet, or just this one?
No, man, it's a representation, one, of my faith, and also like my background from my city. Everybody know I rock the 7 hat. One, my city area code is 727. The main street that go down the center of my city is 34th Street. So you add 3 and 4, that's 7. And then obviously 7 is also the completion of when God created everything. So that's why you see the lamb on the side, and then on the other side it say holy 3 times. So, you know, it's my crown, you know, and I wear it, you know, with pride, because I know the Father that's above me, he proud of me. So I try to keep that representation at all times.
There you go. And that's something that we've seen a lot of you recently, of you being much more, I guess, external with your faith. We saw you during warm-ups today wearing the Jesus is King shirt. Is that something that you've always felt, or could you find a time back when you were younger where you might have struggled with that journey and that search that you might have had?
Man, it comes with edification. You gotta understand the scriptures, understand what we're supposed to be doing. God, he built things in an ordinance that we have to follow. And Christ, he used his last breath to tell us that we were supposed to go out and build disciples. Now, I'm not doing this for no likes. I'm not doing this for people to just praise me. I'm doing it as a symbol. We're supposed to be an example to the people of how we're supposed to be. 1 John 2:6, I want to say it is, if Christ be in us, then we must walk as he did. So I want to make it present that, hey, don't forget God. Like, you can come into this sport and get so much praise and worship for the fans, and a lot of us fall into that, and then we forget God, where we got to remember he's number one, he's the head. So we got to always make sure we put that foot forward and not get too ahead of ourselves. So I just try to make sure I'm presenting that to the public and making sure they remember him. You know, so that's my point of doing it.
There you go. Was there any times that you struggled, kind of like lost your path, or where you might have been questioning things, or how that kind of went with you?
I mean, I feel like a lot of people, even those who are evangelists in this walk of faith, sometimes they get to a point where things are hard, right? You deal with ups and downs, trying to get up that mountain and try to figure out why this is happening to me, right? But you got to remember, if you read the scriptures as it is written, many people in the Bible even went through things. And Christ always said, like, when you take on this walk, it's one of them situations where you're going to deal with affliction, you're going to deal with sorrow, because one, people may not agree with you, or when things go bad, people gonna be like, see, but you believe in God, like, why? So it's being content in the Lord, and not content in the world. So for me, it's like, man, even when things go wrong, I'm like, you know what, God is still good, because in a lot of the situations that people see, even prime example, my injuries, people are like, oh man, I feel bad. Don't feel bad for me, because I was once broke. Like, my mama haven't worked a job since I turned pro. You feel me? Me and my wife, we ain't got to worry about if we got a meal coming the next day. So I'm thankful. But everybody else looking from the outside in, they don't see, like, even through the affliction of what they think is hard, I'm still praising the Lord. So, it's tough. You go through tough times. I'm not going to sit here and act like, dang, I get an injury now, I'm like, crap. Like, I'm like, yeah, man, I don't want to be injured. I want to be out here running and having fun, but everything has its purpose, and everything, is part of his will. So whatever come out of it, a lot of people are learning perseverance because of the Lord working through me. Like, a lot of people that came through this sport, they've had injuries. They dealt with things probably similar to what I'm dealing with, and they did not come back. But the fact that the Lord is using me as an example of perseverance, I'm not mad at how my journey going.
Yeah, it can be, and that can be hard. I'm sure you probably get a lot of people on, so whether it's on social media or as you're going through track meets, and there's little kids in here that that might send you a message of like, hey, you're an inspiration to me. Maybe it's because of the times you race, because of what you stand for off the track or whatever it may be. You ever is there any moment that you saw back, throughout your career that you're really like, oh wow, like no, this isn't just about getting from point A to point B fast. Like I'm having a real impact kind of here.
Man, I feel like since I was a kid, I was kind of blessed to become a name in this sport. Obviously, being the first person to break 10 out of high school, so I've always kind of been like a name to people, especially the young generation. I still look back at the time when I went to Nairobi and the dude had the sign of like, "Let me have your spikes," and to see his reaction once I gave it to him, that hit me emotionally to a point where I'm like, us as athletes have to realize the impact that we have on people. Like, some of these people truly see us as superhuman. Like, these guys aren't real. And when they get a time to be able to interact, it's like everything to them. So now it's like, now that we have that opportunity to be on a platform to present ourselves, what are we presenting? So I had a conversation the other day, and I was speaking about how now I want to be a representation for young men on stay in school, get your education, get a degree, be successful in your event. What are you presenting to the world? What are you presenting to these other young men? Pull your pants up. Stop all presenting the smoking and the drinking. Build real men of valor. Like, that is what we're supposed to be doing. It's too many young men out here that don't know how to be men because we're not doing our jobs as the leaders. And then we get on them saying like, oh man, they don't got it together. Well, you didn't set the platform for them. You didn't give them the blueprint on how to be a man. So how can you say like, oh, you condemning this person, or you feel like this person just wasting their life? Well, lead them. Be a leader. Like, be that true evangelist and teach these people. So, yeah, man, that's all I'm trying to do, and what I try to get other brothers and sisters in this walk of life to do.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I checked, you just crossed over, or maybe it was a little bit recently, over 1 million followers on Instagram.
Sure.
That's like, it's hard to comprehend, like, and think of, like, there are a million people that, like, they decided, no, I want to learn more about me as a person, what it is, and trying to follow you in some sort of thing. Like, there's cities that aren't that don't have that many people in it,
For sure.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, try to being able to be that role model to all those people as
and
well.
everybody's watching, and I think people forget that. Like, let's not get too ahead of ourselves and prideful to where now you're putting forth another image that people wasn't used to seeing, and now they can put you in the box of saying, oh, this person is arrogant, this person is this. Like, you want to be an example for the rest of your life, not just for a time being of just athletics. Like, I don't want to be remembered just for running fast, right? Like, I want to be that person that help individuals, and now that I have more eyes on me, me and my wife talk about this every single day. And when I say this, I'm not exaggerating. I talk about every time we step out that door, we're a representation of the Lord first, and then our moral compass. Like, if we disrupt that, then everything pretty much goes up in an explosion. So we try to make sure every day we wake up, we thank God for having breath in our lungs to be able to go out and do what we need to do, but don't mess up the plan, don't disrupt the moral code. Like, we have to live a certain way and be a certain way until we hit this grave, and we're going to stand on that.
Yeah. That's something that it can be, especially as athletes, I've noticed from people that I've talked to, of like, you get so, like, I'm a track athlete, I'm a sprinter, I'm a basketball player, I'm whatever. And I saw a recent interview of Nikola Jokic where he was like, where someone was asking like, hey, what do you want to be remembered by? And he was like, I don't want to be remembered at all as a basketball player.
Sure.
Greatest basketball player in the world right now. And he's like, I don't want to be remembered at all as a basketball player. He's like, I want to be remembered by, I want to be a great father, I want to be a great husband, I want to be a great, friend. Like, that's what he wants to be. And it's like, it was so wild for many fans, because you're like, what do you mean? Like, you could be one of the greatest to ever do it, and you don't care. Like, you want to be this first. It can be shocking from the outside, because so many people hold that belief of wanting to do, just be what their profession is.
Yeah. And so I was talking to my brother about this, and I don't want to go too off on the deep end on this, but you look at a lot of celebrities in life, man, and a lot of tragedies that happen to a lot of them. They get all the money in the world and the recognition, but they leave here unhappy. Like he said, for me, I don't want to just be known as a track guy. Like, I want to move mountains and help people literally find out who they are and be a great example. That's bigger than track. Track is only a certain amount of years out of the, preferably I live to 90 plus, right? So you have to ask yourself, if you want to be known for basketball, football, track, what are people going to know you for once that's done? You're just going to be dust in the wind. So that's the thing that I don't want. Like, I want people to be, I want my family to be proud of me. I want my wife to be proud of me, but I also want to make sure that I'm using my time in an efficient way to change lives around me. And that's going to come further than just track and field, because track and field going to come to an end in probably a couple of years. Some people, their career are done now. So now it's like, what are you doing? Like, how are you moving the needle for individuals to be able to be better people? Like, how are you making a change in the community? And I think we got to start thinking about those type of things. Like, I think we get too much on trying to put ourselves on a pedestal and in a throne that we forget our sole purpose. I remember at one point in time, Will Smith had said, if you're not helping or changing lives, then you're wasting your time. And truly and honestly, when you look at everything and any aspect of life, like for instance, you're helping me get more views to the world, right? Everything that we do, you're helping somebody if you ignorantly don't think about it or not. Like, if you're not helping people, then what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
So if you're working for a Fortune 500 company business or running for New Balance, you're helping somebody in some form of way. So if you're not doing something, you're probably just sitting at home doing nothing.
There's so many great things you mentioned there. Like, first you said, like, this is just a small part of your life. I remember when I was a little kid, probably like not even that little. I was like 13. I was like, dang, that guy's 28 years old. Oh man, you're ancient. Cause I'm just thinking in athlete terms. So I'm like, you're telling me like that guy's 29. Jeez, you're old as hell. I'm like, now I'm 28, and I'm like, wait a minute, nah, this is like, I'm thinking like, oh, your life's over when you're 30. Cause like you're in athlete terms, like you're done. You're done at that point. And so, but then now I'm like, as I've matured and I've gotten older, I'm like, wait a minute, like there's still so much more of this thing to go. This track and field stuff, like for me, like at the time, like that was my entire life. And it was like, what do you do once you're, after you're 30, it's like, oh, you're done. Goodbye. Like, cause you're not going to be at like the top of your thing anymore. So, but it's not the case. It's how can we still make it a big impact, you know? So,
Kyrie said that just recently. He's like, man, I'm 32 and people calling me like, he's still young. He still got a lot of things he could do in this world to make impact, you know. So for sure.
That's something that like over time. So all the young bucks that are here that are like, man, you're 29. Damn, what's 28? What's going on? Like, nah, you gonna be there soon.
Facts. It's gonna come quick.
It's gonna come quick. That's the craziest thing. With that, like, so it's crazy to think. What I guess you've been a pro now for about 10 years.
Yeah, going on it. Like, I turned pro at the end of 2015. Yeah. So I actually started my pro contract season in 2016. Okay. So it's coming up. It's coming up quick.
How's it been when if you were to go back and tell, 2015, 2014 Trayvon, like, hey, this is the journey that you're going to go ahead, with yourself. How would you say that would be? How do you think 19-year-old Trayvon would react to being told what's going to come on?
Man, I feel like young Trayvon would still probably be like, man, what is this dude talking about? But because I probably would be talking to myself, I know who I am. I always trusted me, even growing up. Even though now I let people into my life who I can trust. But if I was taking it back then and I was to tell a younger me, I would say, man, don't buy all them cars. Leave the cars alone. Save your money, because you never know what's going to come. And that's the thing. I've been able to go through so many battles in my life that I wish I could tell myself, hey, prepare for what's to come, emotionally and physically. And probably what, my boy Micah, who he always tell me, I should have got a PT when I was younger. So, not Micah, Malachi, who worked with Sid. Okay. Yeah, he always tell me like, bro, you should have got a PT, get a PT, and I was like, I'm good. So I think that's probably one thing I would have took serious when I was younger, if somebody was to tell me or myself was to tell me. So definitely take care of your body.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about earlier, hey, you've been really on the scene as a name in this track and field space for since you were a teenager, and we're seeing nowadays a lot of just massive like teenagers running crazy times and having really big impacts. I mean, Quincy Wilson, who's here, he's a celebrity he was a celebrity at 15, 16 years old. We've got Jake out here of Archbishop Carroll, who's dropping some crazy times, who I think is running the 300 here, and just tons of people going on, especially in the age of social media. I mean, have you been able to connect with any of these younger athletes as they're getting started and provide some maybe tips tips, advice, and pointers of, hey, they're going through maybe something similar as what you were going through, but now in the age of social media where everything is going to be a clip and, people see everything that you're doing.
For sure. So I think that's why I'm going to go back to the discussion of what I said, being an example, right? Because in the realm of sports, you do not always have the opportunity to be able to have a sit down with somebody. So as much as I would love to have a sit down with Quincy and any of the younger guys and give them advice, it's all about who's guarding them in the moment, right? So you have friends, you have family, you have coaches who are all guarding them, make sure that they are going down the right path. And sometimes it's hard to squeeze into those avenues and paths to speak to them. But yeah, it's just I wish I could speak to them, but if I could, I would try to give them advice to, one, listen to their heart, listen to their faith, and trust people who actually care about you, because a lot of times we'll probably think, because we get to a certain stature, like, oh man, who are you to tell me? But yeah, man, I wish I could actually speak more to them. Like I do speak to young kids outside of the pro famous type lifestyle, because they're more accessible. And I don't want to be that person that just want to DM, right? Like I feel like if we're going to talk emotion about how your life can go, I want it to be face to face, and that's the thing that I've won. Even outside of track, I've actually had the opportunity to be in youth ministry and actually speak to kids in like these rural neighborhoods who are coming up from nothing, and be able to talk to them and see how that impact of seeing them face to face, how it changes the narrative of their lives. So if I could talk to the younger generation, I wish I could face to face more. But it all comes down to, they need me, they know how to contact me, and we can have a sit down.
There you go. There you go. So we'll wrap this up as we got the last bus coming out here. So this New Balance Grand Prix right here in the 60. How are you feeling going into this race? What are some of the the emotions, the vibes? How do you feel coming in?
I feel good, man. I'm ready to race. Body feel good. I'm looking forward to a great performance. It's a stacked field, and that's what I want. This is a building block for me and my coach, being back with one another, and it's going to be a journey. So I'm taking this just as, hey, we're going to go through the motions, we're going to run fast, and we're going to go back to training and build towards USA's.
There you go. You're now back down in Baylor with your coach who got you to where you were. How do you feel with being back in Texas?
Oh man, it feels good. I love the people that I've grew up with at Baylor, and to still have them around, to be able to be mentors and figures in my life. It's a blessing, man. It takes a lot of stress off of me. They want to see the best for me, and shoot, I love Coach Ford to death as a person and as a coach. I mean, we ran 6'4" before, so that's what we're trying to do again, and we're trying to win another title as well.
Last question for you. So for me, I like to have a word that kind of describes, like, for my word for this year is like commitment. I want to commit to everything that I'm doing, put my best foot forward. For you, for track and field, if you were to put like a word of like, hey, this is the theme of 2025 season, what would you say that word is for you?
Perseverance. Period, point blank. I want to show the world that you don't have to give up even when times get tough. So persevere, keep moving.
Awesome. Thank you, Trayvon. Appreciate you taking the time, and good luck this season, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.